Hey guys, I am Igor from IMCustoms and welcome to my new channel. Today we are going to take a look and unbox this EK-FC7970 CSQ Nickel Plexi block for graphics card water cooling. And I'll show you how to mount it on one of these MSI 7970 graphics cards. You can find links for blocks and cards in the description, and let's get started. As you can see, EK blocks are packed in these boxes with circles because of their CSQ design. And when we take this cover off, we have an orange box with EK logo in the middle, which we are now going to open. In top compartment, we can see accessories that come with this block. And there are lots of screws and plastic washers, one hex wrench, as well as a few thermal pads, which we'll use later. And of course, a manual. EK makes pretty decent manuals with lots of pictures, so you won't have any trouble installing your water block if you follow them. And now we can open the main compartment. There is some foam padding and there is one on the bottom as well. And this FC-Link block that I'll explain later in depth. We also get an EK thermal paste, and when it focuses, we can see that it is an EK Ecotherm thermal paste. And of course, the block itself, which I've already unpacked, and that's why this seal is broken. This block is Nickel Plexi, and that means that it has nickel-coated copper base and plexiglass top, so we can see cooling fluid flowing through the block itself. And this is just some aluminum cover on top. And now we can start preparing for mounting this block on a graphics card. For mounting a block on a GPU, we need a block itself and a GPU, and that's it. I'm kidding, of course. We'll need a few more things that EK doesn't include in this package, and that will enable us to mount this block properly. So I'll just move these two to the side and let's see what we need. First and foremost, a clean working surface. It's of utmost importance that the surface we are working on is pristine, as well as the room we are in, because we can contaminate chips and raise temperature of a card after we mount the block. And then we'll need one regular Phillips screwdriver, and of course there's others if we need them, ballpoint pen and some card that we'll use later to mark something, scissors, and we can switch to cleaning. For cleaning, we'll use 100% alcohol, cause it's good for removing thermal paste and filth, and firstly, we'll use just a regular toilet paper, or any paper that can absorb fluids. Then we'll use some cotton earbuds, or something similar for detailed cleaning. And lastly, we'll use a microfiber cloth, which can clean some microscopic things that those last two just can't. And if you won't use EK's thermal paste, like I want in this case, you can prepare, for example, Noctua Anti-H1 thermal paste. And of course, we'll need one plastic bag for removing waste while working. And we are now ready to start cleaning and later mount the block. In this tutorial, we won't cover how to remove stock cooler from a graphics card, cause it's very simple to do by removing a couple of screws and disconnecting one fan header. And then we get GPU's PCB with chips with all the thermal paste and thermal pads. We remove those thermal pads with bare hands, and we can clean thermal paste with alcohol and paper like I previously said. So we'll again need alcohol, paper, earbuds, and microfiber cloth. We soak one piece of paper with alcohol, not over the GPU of course, and we gently clean every chip. one at a time, on which we'll place a block. I'll speed this part up a bit so you don't get bored watching me do this. We can see small leftover pieces of paper, and that's why we'll use these cotton earbuds. We tighten the cotton part a little bit and go over every chip again. Also, we can soak it with alcohol and right away dry it with other side of the bud. Even after this step, we have small pieces of cotton on chips, so we use this microfiber cloth to clean it to perfection. And we are aiming for this crystal mirror finish, like you can now see. There is a point for all of this cleaning, and it's cleaning to lower card's temperature. To be specific, the cleaner the chip is, the less filth it has that doesn't allow heat to be transferred from the chip to the cooler, in this case water block, which we of course don't want to happen. And we have finished card cleaning, so we can now clean the block. From the factory, block comes pretty clean, so we don't have to clean it with alcohol like before. But we should clean it a little bit with this microfiber cloth on the top for aesthetics and on the bottom to remove some random fingerprints and dust particles. And that's that regarding the cleaning. The next thing we should do is consult the manual, cause we don't only apply thermal paste on these chips, but we have to use some thermal pads as well, which EK includes with this block. Thermal pads come in two sizes. Bigger one is 0.5 mm thick and smaller one is 1 mm thick, and we have to cut them by this drawing. For that we'll need one regular ballpoint pen, a card, and scissors. And I'll also speed up this part. When we make these guidelines, we can start cutting, a bit faster again. As you can see, you don't need to cut them really precisely. It's more important to set them properly so they cover chips nicely and that it looks nice as well. And we can start doing exactly that. Now, when we are done cutting, we can start applying thermal pads. And as the manual says, we place all of the 0.5 pads on memory chips and VRM, and this 1 mm thick on this one small chip. EK recommends applying thermal paste before these pads, and I'll apply just a small amount everywhere so pads will stick better. Cause we'll later have to flip the card upside down to put the block on, but I'll talk about that later. So we are applying a little drop of thermal paste. As you can see. And on that chip we stick one thermal pad. Every pad has a plastic protection on both sides, white on one and transparent on the other side. And you can see them now. I usually remove one entirely and apply a pad on a chip. And now it's important for chips that are near the edge to apply the pad properly along the edge, cause it can look bad if it's hanging on the side when we put the block on. And when we apply a pad, it's time to remove the other protective plastic, and we gently press it with that plastic on the chip to stick. And we applied the first thermal pad, and it's right on the edge of a chip. So let's get to the other ones, which I'll speed up of course. And now it's important for us not to cover this hole between these two chips, cause we might have to screw in something there later. We went around it and we can continue to VRM part. I needed some tweezers to better place these pads, so let's continue. We finished applying 0.5mm pads, And we are left to cover this little chip with 1mm pad, who is also protected with double plastic covers. And it's done too. We should now apply thermal paste to main processing chip and place a block on top. Thermal paste which I'll use is Noctua NT-H1 thermal paste. And EK recommends applying it in the shape of a plus symbol, cause this is a big chip and if we apply it only in the middle, it may not spread out to the borders of the chip. And you can see now that small plus. All other chips are covered, and we can now finally place a block on top. There is a small trick for correct block placement. It's hard to place a block on top of the card like this, because firstly we cannot see the holes and the chips which we should cover. And secondly, we couldn't screw in a block without flipping the card over with a block that isn't fixed on properly. So we'll put a block upside down on the edge of a table and then we'll flip a card around and place it on top. We are placing a block on the edge to hang out a bit, and we are taking a card, flipping it and placing it on top of a block. We are of course checking these pads so they won't fall off, cause that would be bad. But we applied a small amount of paste so it shouldn't happen. So we are flipping it around gently and checking these pads once again. And we are aiming for the holes in a block in relation with those on a card. And then we gently place the card on top. Now we need to apply some pressure on top of the main chip to spread that thermal paste around. And we are doing that with this microfiber cloth and gently push it down right here. And of course everywhere else too. Now we have to take some screws and nicely screw everything up. No fun intended. As we saw, with this block we get more than enough screws that we need, as well as this wrench and FC link. All screws are the same size, so we don't have to worry about placing the wrong one somewhere. And we need these plastic washers for every one of them. It's important to screw in these 4 holes first, because they are around a main chip. So we are putting 4 washers and we diagonally screw in these 4 screws. And we barely screw them at first, very gently. And when we place them all, we tighten them, again diagonally, not with massive force so we won't break a card or a block. And when we finish screwing them, we screw in others by the manual, a bit faster of course. And when we finish it, we visually check everything up, tighten something if we need to, and we can now flip it back normally again. And now we only need to place this FC-link block, and you'll see in a second what it's for. And we finally came to FC-link. It's a small plexi block which EK includes with this kind of blocks, which has these two O-rings and this big screw. And it's placed on this block because of its fitting hole placement. So when we put a card with a block on a motherboard, those holes are facing down, which isn't very good regarding the fitting and tube placement and routing everything up in your case, especially if you have more than one graphics card. So EK made these links, which you get for free with this kind of blocks, and you can put them right here, which will give you a better access from the top. And let's see how simple it is to mount. We get this big screw and a hex wrench, which can be used for all screws on top side of the block. So we loosen up and take off this screw between fitting holes and place a link on top. It's important to keep an eye on these two O-rings, not to move or fall out, cause they prevent coolant leaking between these blocks and on your system. So now we can put a link on and screw it down, but not too hard because we are screwing it into plexiglass now, and it can break if you use a lot of force. So be careful with that, please. That's enough and it won't budge. And we are done with placing a block on this GPU. So guys, we have now finished unboxing and mounting tutorial of this EK-FC7970 CSQ Nickel Plexi block on a graphics card. And if you like this video and you want more of them, hit that like button and subscribe below. This is my first video and I'll try to make my content and quality better for the upcoming ones as much as I can. So I'll appreciate any of your suggestions and comments on how to do just that. And that should be all. I am Igor from IMCustoms, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.